Yes, guys. Hope everyone is good. No messing around with this one. Straight into it. Bit of a basic tactical video, and I'll show you the videos here. And I say basic because it's quite basic. It's simple stuff, but stuff we've been missing, believe it or not. The basic principles that we have been missing that we are slowly beginning to bring back. But what we could also improve, and I'll show you right now. And a lot of that is Glenn Kamara. As you see, I've fingered him in the thing. Fingered him in the thing. There we go. Analysis. Yeah, I've highlighted him here. I've fingered the ball because the highlight went over it. So what is interesting about this way, and this is something that I do think we need to change, and we did begin to develop in that second half. It was very kind of different to what we usually do, and I like that. When we choose a side to go down, a lot of the time it sticks down that side, and there's no middleman to progress the ball to the other side. That's the issue. There's no pivot to progress it, right? And you can see why, and this is an example. So we get the ball here in this position, and you're kind of looking at which one of these guys is really an option to receive it. Are they really in a position where they can be effective? No, the answer is there. These two are kind of just stood around looking for something to be progressed. And the ball goes into Georgie. And look at Kamara here, and this is something that he improved in the second half. And look at the space out wide, the opposite side. He turns back around, and the pass option is Georgie. That's where it goes to. And you simply are not in a position to really affect anyone if the ball's in here. And this is where we look at the movement earlier on. Nanto's made that forward movement. Junior Fairport is in space and ready to progress the ball out wide and create a 2v1 out wide, or at least some danger out wide. And this is the problem. It's there, it's still there. A little shift to your left into this area here. Fairport goes. What we do is we play the ball into... It's about that simple pass, that basic pass, but when there's a better option that is also fairly simple, we don't do it enough. We don't progress the ball. We don't switch the ball. This is an example. Straight into Georgie, who has two guys around him instantly, and if he turns them, there's two other guys covering. No one's offering depth in behind. Yeah, not great. So Georgie tries to turn, loses the ball, and now they're in a position where they have possession. Now, luckily, because of this, we do have guys, so we can't really allow them a counter press. We are kind of on them. But sorry, we allow the counter press. We are on them, so they don't really have a way out. It goes back to the simple option here. There's got to be a switch in this area. And this is what we did in the second half. And this is what we improved. But it has to be a switch. It has to be a switch. Look at the defenders around the ball. And like I said, people, these guys do not enjoy defending. The entire team. They don't love it. I promise you, apart from maybe the centre-backs. We have to be more productive. We have to play on different lines. Look, everyone is literally in the same block. Not offering any passing options, not offering any different variations. Even these guys. Rodon's on the same line. Gurev's 2 yards away from him, so it's not going to change anything. We lose the ball. And again, building out from the back. We saw here Joe Rodon. How many times have we seen this? Goes to Joe Rodon. We either give it to Sam Byram, who is pressed and there's no way out, or we go down the line, which we did in this situation here, which goes straight to their two defenders who win the ball. And it's this area, this is the key area. And this is where the midfielders need to be brave, and this is where that Archie role, that number 10 role, needs to drop in there. Sam Byram is telling him, Joe Rodon is doing that with his hand. This is the space you have to protect. If you can go in this space, if you are brave in this space, Archie, instead of playing really high, drops into this space. There is space to overload out the other side. And it's another thing we didn't do in the first half, and the thing we've not done all season. We progressed the ball down the line high, and we didn't win much of it. Maybe once or twice we got a bit of joy. But all it needs is one brave person to just jink a run. Pretend you're going in, then boom, straight into this position. It'll give you 3 or 4 yards. And that's enough to have a touch and pass it out the other side. And then you've got options to press the ball. Then they're in trouble, they're in time. And just before we move on to the next bit, really quick, I'm not going to show these. I'll let you guys pause them and look for yourself. But this is just some things I got from Y-Scout of our average positions. Again, pause it. Attacks by flanks and danger level. Passes out from the back, from the goalkeeper. Notice where they were in the direction. And yeah, passing patterns right there. See what you notice from there. And then pass combinations. To the next bit. So, here's a good move, and here's the second half where we did improve our combinations and we did improve that progressiveness. That was down to Glenn Kamara. As you can see, Glenn Kamara, and this is where we made a brilliant move together. And to be honest, should have gone in. But you give offside, probably offside just. But anyway, what I've been speaking about already is playing on the same lines, no central progression. I hate that stuff. I hate when you play on the same line as another player. I hate when we don't have any central progression. And this is the role of Glenn Kamara, and this is where he turned up, and this is where he took the game by the scruff of the neck and played that 8 role that we have been crying out for. So here he is here, in this central space. This is smart, by the way. This movement is really smart. All he does, he's like, right. You've noticed this little movement around here. So he's in the central space. And there, look at the triangles between the players. No one is on the same line, apart from these 2 guys. They're far apart. And the angles to pass are not straight. Perfect. That creates problems for the opposition. That creates unpredictable movements. That creates angles to pass, angles to get through midfields. And we are set up in a position here, as you'll see. Kamara drops out of this space. 1 straight pass. We have a straight pass, we don't have a straight run. So Kamara dropped left, vacated that space. Because he knows that's where the passing lane is to Junior Firpo, who's advanced. Very smart. Very subtle, but very smart. Drops out here because he knows that ball's going to go to Nonto, and he knows he can get it back. Ball goes to Nonto. Again, the triangle, the movement, it's hard to press. It's unpredictable. It's difficult to mark. When everyone's in a straight line, it's so easy to press and mark. So easy. Ball goes into Nonto, as we've seen here, draws this guy out, and Kamara, perfect timing, vacates the space which he created. But they're reacting to it, but you can't get there in time. So what we do now, Nonto gets the ball, gives it to Kamara, and this is the passing pattern. Straight pass, diagonal, straight. 2 of them straight passes are forward. Up, back, and through. That's what we call it. You go up, you come back, and then you go through, more advanced. And that's what we did, and it was beautifully done. And this is dictated by the movement of course, Junior Firpo and Willie Nonto. But that initial movement from the central area from Glenn Kamara allowed that. But Kamara gets the ball, Firpo's ready to receive, and Nonto is running into that space that Kamara vacated. So not only has he used it as an area to pass, but now the space he vacated is used as an area for Nonto to run into during the up, back, and through. Like that. That was the movement. Pass in there, side pass, side run. Brilliant. This is what we can do if we're just a little brave. Look, it's 3v3 in there. It's a 3v3 press. Well, they're pressing 3v3. And we were brave. And we did. The movement was excellent. The communication was excellent. The pass detail was excellent. It was quick, solid passes. None of this slow rubbish. None of this bobbly rubbish. It was quick. And that is dictated by Glenn Kamara. Ball goes into Firpo. And there it is, that space again. For Nonto to drive. Who does drive? And we all know what happens. And this is it. 3 quick passes, 3 combinations, 3 simple movements that you learn about in training, that you do in training. And you've beat their entire midfield. And look at the space you've got on their back line. That's all it takes. From this, here, to what, 3.5, 4 seconds later? Just some simple movements. Boom. Beating their entire back line. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 players against their 4. Jorginho can spread the defence. Free's got it in space. Firpo's got it. Nonto can get it. And is there any 4 players you want in these areas more? Perfect. And that's dictated by Glenn Kamara. Yeah, we know what happens. Miles off. We scored, doesn't count. But anyway, and this is just another simple adaptation of his role from the man Kamara. And again, just notice during this where Archie's positioning is. It's very high. He plays very high. Anyway, so Glenn Kamara gets the ball here. What I like, and this is something we don't see enough from Glenn Kamara, it's usually Gruev in that pivot. But there's a bit of rotation because Glenn Kamara took present of the game. He took it by the scruff of the neck and thought, I'm going to try to dictate this. I'm that 8. I'm that box to box, if you like. I can get forward. I get back. I want to dictate the movement we're going forward. And it was good. And it allowed us some more options, you know. Usually what we see in these positions is the centre-backs and the CDM that drop in deep. They're in a very straight line. So it's hard to progress it forward. But it's harder to press. As you can see, they're not pressing when you have wide centre-backs with a pivot who's sitting deep. We saw it under Bielsa. Same movement. So hard to press. So they just basically sat in a midfield block. You can't see below my head. You can see their midfield block there. They just sat in a block. and the front two just kind of try to cut passing lanes, and it worked to an extent. Here he is again, popping up in different positions. This time Gruev's took that pivot role. Again, look at the wide centre-backs, and look at the formation here. Let's talk about 4-3. It's very fluid. This is nothing like that. It's completely different. And this is where, and this is the key part for me, Jorginho makes that run. There is space to do that. There is space to do a little one in this area. There 100% is. And this is the kind of area where we do need that progression and we do need that risky pass that he didn't do in the game. But it's key for Kamara to get the ball in this position. He's dictating the play higher up. Predominantly plays on the left when he progresses it. But this time, notice where the combinations were coming from. Played down the left. So we've seen him centrally, deep. We've seen him on the right, trying to get involved in combinations and keep the play going. And again, and this is something that's key, and this is something I loved that Archie, this midfield run. Again, notice the formation. Archie does this so well. We never find him. And this is the one bit we need. We need height, we need verticality, we need depth. And this is a perfect run. Jorginho and Chris Somerville between the lines, fine. Not offering too much there, to be honest. This is where maybe we can play a little wider and create 4v3s out wide. I don't know, with Archie Gray stretching the defence. Kamara's got it in the locker to ping this one in there. And this is the look at the goalkeeper's position. It's fairly back. There's definitely space in here, 100%. But we didn't do it. And this was something that Kamara didn't actually do in the game. It was that little chip ball over the top to Archie Gray, who made the run 4 or 5 times. And he makes it every game. And this is the thing with the formation. It was a similar formation, but it was actually a different role for Archie Gray, right? He played higher up, which meant when we defended, he was further back, which made it more of a 3 midfield. But actually going forward, there weren't much of a midfield. It was a defence. There was one guy in the middle and the rest were at the front, and it was about running off the lines on coming deep. So it was very progressive. It was very, what's the word? Kind of unpredictable. It was not really a structured formation. Again, I just want to notice here in this one, again, look at Archie Gray's positioning. Archie Gray's gone higher. Jorginho's gone wide. Yeah. It's more of, here it's, like I said, we're either high up or the defence and one in midfield. Not really a midfield 3. It was more of a one sat between the centre-back. Centre-back went wide, full-backs went up. Wingers tucked in. And then there's rotation between Archie and Jorginho. Another bit I loved about it, this bit right here. Wins the ball in this deep position and drives with it. Drives with it about 10-15 yards. And then releases it. This is what I love to see. And this is a moment where, here, I think for me, just recognise where Firpo is quite far back. Cree probably should arc his run, so he's further wide. Obviously, can't be higher, he's running at full pelt. But just a little further wide, so when the ball does come through, you know, it doesn't go too, because it went a bit far wide. So he probably a little wider for Cree, so he is a 1v1 on this full-back, when this centre-back when he gets it. But that's it. Just that little drive there, that little bit of progression. That's what we need to see from Glenn, because he's got it in the locker. He's got some lovely feet. He can take a guy on if he needs to. He can. He really can. And again, look at the back. Look at the back there. Back line's fine. Cover in here. Forward, go. And we did it. And we tapped with numbers. And this is where we need to be more crucial. And this is where we can destroy any team. This situation. Creates a little wider. If he arcs his run, he runs a bit wide. It creates more central space too. Because the centre-back has to come out to him. And then Firpo can obviously either invert or just make a 2v1 out wide. Yeah. Again, another little subtle movement from Glenn, and this is where we're seeing the progression. Firpo gets the ball, looking at the lines here. Again, look at the formation. Yeah. You've got 3 up front, you've got 1 in midfield, and then the rest on the back line. So it was more of a, yeah, it was a 4, I don't know, 4-2-4. It was very 4-1-5. I don't know, it was very fluid. It was very fluid. Just drop deeper. And this allows, what he does here, he recognises that we're a bit stuck. And a lot of the time, Glenn Kamara would, or Gruev would be a little deeper, which means this guy can push a little higher, which means he can tuck in, or he can tuck in, and there's no real space centrally. But Kamara just drops a little deeper, and then we recognise that Norwich, like I've said, don't love defending. They don't love defending. That's a fact. They don't. And he plays, instead of going to the centre-back, which we always do in this position, by the way, always, he recognises Gruev's in space. It's so simple, I know, but we don't do this, people. We usually here will go to the centre-back, or Gruev would get it and pass it to the centre-back. But what he does, Glenn Kamara just drops a little bit from this position. When Firpo turns and stops, he just drops 2 or 3 yards. What does that create? Creates an angle to pass. Again, like I said, not on the same lines. Gets it. Boom. There. One pass now. Their entire midfield is gone. Move my head again. One pass from Gruev. Their entire midfield is completely gone. And their front. And then you're on their back line. And all that took, and else I can't show it, but just trust me, go watch the moment. Purple stops. Kamara is here. It's kind of not a passing angle for Gruev. It just drops 2 or 3 yards. And then this guy, Asara, tries to press Kamara, and that just leaves loads of space for Gruev in here to get the ball. And then Gruev, who again, usually would give the ball to the centre-back behind my head, doesn't. He actually takes a risk because he's got a really good long pass on him. You should use it more. Takes their entire midfield out of it. And then suddenly we're on their back line. This is what we need to do. We need to be brave in attack. And that is dictated by the midfield, and Glenn Kamara dictated a lot of that. You know, from this here to 3 passes later, you're in their box and there's spaces to attack. And with a better ball, we win a corner, but with a better ball or a Megs through the defender's legs, it goes straight into this position where Archgray is running into with a shot on goal. We've got to be clinical. We have to be aggressive on the ball. That's dictated by midfield. And one thing about Glenn Kamara that I can't really show because it's just clips is the constant movement and the constant dictation of play. Even if it was passing it a yard, he'd keep doing it. He wouldn't pass it and then slow and wait on the ball. He'd keep passing it until an option came. I love that. It holds the tempo. It's down to the attacking players now to create these movements. Again here, as soon as he gets that ball, Glenn Kamara at the bottom, looking forward. He was always looking forward first. He's looking, is there options? And as you can see, again, we've got that high kind of 5 who are just creating little movements. You know, you'll have Perot comes to feet, which is where it goes. Archgray will make the running behind into these spaces because there is spaces and we've got the width there. But what he does is just a little patient. There's no option on. He's a little patient and he waits for Perot to make that run. Boom. Forward pass into the hole, which is what we need from our number 8. Could have gone out wide again, but no, he was a tad patient. Good run from Perot. And now, with a better pass, a better execution, there's loads of space on their back line. Pressure in their back line again. Sarah's out of it. He's out of it. He's out of it. In one pass. So simple. Just into here. Bit of a risk. Maybe. It works. This is what we need to do. And this is where, when Perot gets it here, it could maybe be, that's what I mean, if you had a little Ampadu so Perot can give it into the feet, maybe a little outlet here so we can go out the other end. You know what I mean? Just a little space in here, a little one out to the other side. Little things like that. But yeah, I've got some quick stats from him. And you can't read it, it's very small. But it's pass accuracy from Glenn Kamara. It's the most passes he's had. Most passes he's had. It weren't the highest percentage, and this is key. It was 87. His average this season is 93. But that's fine, because he took more risks, and he got more effect out of it. He had 75 passes, which is the most he's had since January. January, people. And by my head, this is the most this season. Forward passes. Behind this red arrow, you can't really see. Forward passes. An average of 17 this season. He had 27. 27. Which is the highest he's had all season. That's what we like to see. He had the most passes. So obviously he had the most going back, most sideways. But he also had the most going forward. And I showed 2 examples there where just one simple forward pass when we usually go back or sideways just allowed us to break the lines really quick. And that's what he did. He was constantly moving, and I can't show that, obviously. He was not happy in one position. He moved. He looked where, like I showed Todd Cantwell used to do. You know, he'd look for a space. He'd look for an area to progress. And he could be more brave. He could have been more brave. He really could. But it's better. And this is what we need from Glenn Kamara because he's 1,000% capable of doing it. He showed that. And now we need to work on the front 4 to work around that so we can be even more effective in these positions. Look at them runs from Archie. Watch the rotations. The up, back and throughs, because we're good at it. Also, dribbling one as well, which I've not done, but he had 4 dribbles in the game. lost it twice during it. But one of them we saw countered. More dribbles as had any other game. He was more involved in the forward play. He needs to shoot. Have a shot, Glenn. Come on. But yeah. That's it, people. That's it. That's all I've got. Hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, it's not too in-depth, just showing how we did adapt in the second half and how we did progress the ball, and it's good to see.